What is up, YouTube? Team Dreadnaught here, bringing you a deck profile. This deck took way too long to build. Took a lot of hardships of people finally understanding that we need trades. We are finally bringing you Perdition Dragons. Yes, Perdition Dragons. The king of
Cardfight Vanguard.
Vanguard at the moment until set 1 comes out, and then its big brother comes around. Hopefully that card will be banned because that card is just ridiculously powerful, but that's neither here nor there. We're talking about Perditions at the moment, and your starter is Red Pulse Draco Kid, just the simple Grade 3 Searcher. Grade 3 Searchers have now pretty much become the standard. It's so funny how you have a card like Conroe and they ban it because it makes all other starters crap, but then they just make Grade 3 Searchers, and then every clan plays Grade 3 Searchers, yet they'll do nothing about these. So. It's a whatever. He's just a Grade 3. Well, they have one now.
Not in English.
Not in English yet, but yeah. It's a simple Grade 3 Searcher. Kairos 1, put in your soul, check top 5, grab a Grade 3 from them, and you put everything else in the deck shuffle. Just a good, solid card. Then we have 4 heal triggers. I could have a Dragon Monk Gojo in here just to have one of each, but her art's terrible compared to these 3. You have 2 of the Perdition, 1 of the Teresa, and 1 of the Barbara. Just really good heal triggers. You just play 4. You just never not play 4. Then you have 4 of the OG Tar.
Penetrate.
You just play Tar. He beats the Tar out of people.
That was
I'm aware of those. And then we have 2 of the Perdition Dragon, too long of a name dragon. Buster. This guy should have been a Tachikale. It's just it's a dinosaur fish with Gatling guns. It's a Tachi, whatever. And then whatever the hell's name is. This guy's art's just too cool. Make this foil bushy, please. Regardless. No, Paul. 3 Gatling Claw Dragons. This guy's just good, and Grade 1s or Grade 2. Yeah, Grade 0s are a problem. Kill Grade 0s. They need to die. And then 2 of like the most expensive draw trigger in the game. no one wants to trade this guy like ever. He's a draw trigger, put in soul, power +3 to 1 of your cargo units. I wish I had another one of these, but oh well. So yeah, that's my trigger lineup. It's a simple 4-7-5. Just simple. Then we have the lonely Rampart Dragon with the 3 OGs. Wyvern Guard Bari. You play 4 perfect shields. You never not play perfect shields. You always play 4, especially in Perditions. Then the card that got limited in Japan, and I see it probably getting limited over here, now it's Calamity Tower Wyvern. He's the Kagero version of Soul Blast 2 draw card when you place it on the field. It's just ridiculous because it allows you to Soul Blast your cards that you used to Legion in the last turn, so you can have more of them, so you can Legion and put it back in the deck, so you can Legion some more. There should be an exhibit joke in here, but I'm going to save you the trouble.
Dog, I heard you like the Legion.
You need to shut up. The card is just... It's once again another one of those things where it's a card that a lot of clans have, but because it's in Kagero, it's too powerful.
It's sad that a clan tag makes a card for them.
Yeah. They have bad cards, though. They're called Steel Dragons, but...
We don't talk about that.
We don't talk about them. But yeah, Calamity Tower, you play 4 of it. I don't know why I'm not playing 4 of this guy, but I'll figure it out as the days go on. And that is Perdition Dragon, why they changed your name Dragon. It was called Mirarico, now it's like some weird, hard to pronounce word. His effect is, during your main phase, whenever a rearguard is retired in the same row that he is, you can Soul Blast 1 to unflip. You can Soul Blast 1 to unflip it damage, so it's basically just changing. It's basically just changing all of your counterblast costs to retire into Soul Blast instead. Like if you had him and then you play like Berserk Dragon and kill something in the same row, you would only have to counterblast 2 and then Soul Blast and unflip 1, so it kind of just reduced the cost. With the ones that just cost counterblast 1 to kill, like the card I'll get to in a second, it just gets a little nuts. But this card is really good. The only benefit that this card has to where it doesn't make it absolutely broken is that it does nothing with it doesn't do anything with the Great, because the Great activates in the battle phase and you activates in the main phase. Other than that, just a really powerful, solid card. Try to play 4. I'm going to try and fit a 4th one in at some point. And then we have 2 Gojos, just your tap, just your rest, discard, draw card. The card's just solid. And then before we get into mass legions again, or before we get into the 2 legions you play in the deck, so I can explain their grade 3s and their grade 2s, you have 4 Perdition Dragon, Menace Laser Dragon. Just a simple 9K, grade 2. When he's placed on rearguard, you can counterblast 1. And if you do, or you can counterblast 1 as long as your Vanguard has Perdition in its name. And if you do, choose 1 rearguard in the same column as it and kill it. So it can kill front row, back row, but only for something in front of it. Really strong card. This is Perdition. My Perdition Dragon deck basically looks like a lot like my Brawler deck, where it's basically the same cards, just a Kagero form of them. Just a strong, good card. Play 4 of them. It's just killing 1 for a counterblast 1. And if you have Mirarico, obviously it's just, instead of a counterblast 1, it's a soul blast 1. So it's just really, really, really powerful. Then we get on to the fun. We have 4 Whirlwind Dragons, the 12k attackers for Kagero. And then the Legion. And that is Perdition Dragon, Vortex Dragon Newt, the card that pissed a lot of people off. So like I said, this is just a simple 12k attacker for Perditions. This guy's effect is, if he's not, whether he's in Legion or not Legion, his bottom effect is, whenever you retire one of your opponent's rearguards by one of your card effects, it gains a +3 for the turn. So it's a pretty good effect, but it's the way Kagero works, obviously, and his Legion ability that makes that ability a little overpowered for what it does. And his Legion ability is, as long as he's in Legion, you can counterblast 2 and Persona Blast, so either discarding a Vortex or a Whirlwind, and then choose 2 of your opponent's grade 2 or lower rearguards and retire them, and then deal them 1 point of damage so long as they're not at 5 damage, and the drive check is negated. So if it's a heal, if it's a draw, they don't get power anywhere, they don't get the effects of healing or drawing a card. It's just a really powerful effect. It kind of took what Drag Ruler did a couple sets ago, and it's kind of took it through the roof a little bit, because though it couldn't be used more than once a turn, it negated the drive check. So if there was a possible trigger, it kind of left your opponent having to still use more cards than they anticipated. Because if you retire 2, it's a 26 by itself. Like I said, its bottom effect kind of gets out of hand sometimes. And if you have this grade 1, you can still once again change its counterblast 2 into possibly a soul blast 2 instead. So it's just a lot of versatility that Kagero maybe shouldn't have had.
Maybe.
But overall, it's just a really good card. I still think it's better than the card I'm going to show you. But the card I'm going to show you next, the other linchpin of the deck, I might have underrated for a while. So we'll see what happens. So there's that. And the last one is I play 4 Neoflame and then 4 Dragonic Emperor Dragon, Dragonic Overlord the Great. And the last card of my deck I'll show you now is just a Dragonic Overlord the Rebirth. When I get another Great, this will be replaced in the deck, obviously. But the Great is still pretty good. He's a nice finisher for the deck. But let's get now to the last card of the deck. And that is Neoflame and Dragonic Overlord the Great. Neoflame's ability is that when he's placed on rearguard, he gets the ability of Counterblast 1, or Counterblast 1, and the effect can only be used the turn he's placed and the turn that your Vanguard performs Legion. And whenever something is killed in front of him, whether in the main phase or in the combat phase, whenever something's killed in front of him, you can Counterblast 1 and kill something else in the column, effectively wiping the column. Really powerful. I might have underrated it at times, but it's also good with Miriko in the main phase. Like if you have Vortex out with this, you can kill what's in the front row, then he can kill what's in the back row and Soul Blast. A lot of consistency. And the Great's ability is, his bottom ability is that whenever his attack hits anything, you can kill a Neoflame or a Great that you have on the field to kill something in the same or to kill any rearguard. So you can attack with this to attack a rearguard, and then attack with the Great and attack one of their rearguards to use his Legion ability, which we'll talk about in a second. And if this attack hits, then you can sack the Neoflame to kill another rearguard. It's just a lot of retiring. It's it follows what Kagero does like the Great itself, if it wasn't for Vortex, like the Great, though people will argue, the Great is probably a more fair card than Newt, because Newt retires a lot more effectively and can abuse Mariko, whereas the Great can't. And also the Great doesn't just give you a damage that you can't do anything about, even though he does restand, and that's obviously one of the more overpowered abilities in this game, so it's obviously up for personal preference whether you think one is better than the other. So, but anyway, his Legion ability is counterblast 1, and then choose 2 cards in your hand and discard them. Whenever at the end of the battle that he attacks a rear guard, it doesn't have to hit. Just at the end of the battle it attacks a rear guard, you can pay the cost to restand him. One of the things I've noticed about the Great that's kind of a problem, that not really a problem, but I guess a slight way that he was tried to be balanced, is that he doesn't gain power in any way, no matter what you do. So, like, the best thing to do would be just to attack him 20 against a rear guard, so it's still a 15 if it's a 9k or a 10k. And then whatever you have behind it boosts when you attack the Vanguard eventually, so you can hit numbers to where your opponent has to guard a little bit, but it's for drive check, so obviously you're going to get to situations to where you might have rear guard columns or even the Vanguard that just stack triggers, so in the end, restanding is still pretty powerful even if you're not attacking the Vanguard twice, because eventually you're going to attack the Vanguard with a big number or a rear guard with a big number, so I'm trying to get at least one of each of the pairs Legion rare, just to show off. I already have an SP Newt, so that's at least a little bit. But I like this deck a lot. It's definitely borderline too powerful. It's tied with Thingsaver and Abyss for the deck that's ruling the format right now until GBO1, where everything kind of gets scrambled. But until then, this is one of the top 3 decks in the format right now.
The top deck in the format?
3. Abyss and Thingsaver are on equal footing with this. But that's my Perdition Dragon deck, so remember to comment, like, subscribe, follow us on Twitter and Facebook for more videos, more battles. We're looking for you guys' suggestion all the time. We're going to have more buddy fights soon, maybe more Weiss soon, but until then, remember to keep watching and have a good one.